Okay, as I said, today's class is number 722. It's August 22nd, 24. The title is Believing is Seeing, and the foundation scripture is Exodus 25 and 40. And I also use Mark 11, verse 24. Now, in Exodus 25 and 40, you recall Moses, and I want to emphasize this, Moses heard the Lord speak to him and tell him, make a tabernacle which I can take pleasure in, that I can live in, that I can dwell in. And then he went on to tell him all about how, make the candles like this and make this like that. He gave him specific instructions all the way through on how to make it. Then at verse 40, he said, pretty much, be sure and make it according to the pattern that I showed you in the mount. Make sure you make the tabernacle according to the pattern that I showed you in the mount. Now let's break that down a little bit. The tabernacle is your body. The Lord is consciousness. So you, consciousness, the Lord, make the tabernacle that wherein you're going to dwell according to the pattern that God showed you in the mount. Well, you are the God, which is the consciousness that showed you I want to say the personal self. You are the impersonal life showing the personal self how to build consciousness. Now, in Mark 11, verse 24, it says, what things soever you desire, when you pray, believe you receive, and you shall have. That's what it says. So you have to believe when you pray. You have to believe it in order to receive. Now, if you recall, we've been talking about prayer. We showed how the science meets the spiritual. Feeling is the prayer. We also showed that the thought and the feeling come together. These are the two that agree in the house, that make peace in the house. That way you are constantly building the tabernacle according to the pattern shown thee in the mount. There's no other way to build it. You can go out here and lift weights. You can jog. You can do all types of exercises. You can say, oh, wow, I ain't going to eat meat, or I am going to eat meat. I'm going to not drink, or I'm going to drink. I'm going to do all these different kinds of things, but that ain't got nothing to do with it. You build the tabernacle according to the pattern shown you in the mount. And what was the pattern shown you in the mount? Thought, feeling come together. The meditation is what you're doing, which is causing you to see how you're moving forward. And every day is a day you're transitioning, but you're transitioning upward. You're always getting a better view. When you're on a mountain, you always got an overall view. When you're down in the valley, you always looking up. But when you're on the mountain, when you're high in consciousness, when you understand that I am consciousness, there's nothing else. Anything out here I build. But it's going to be built according to the image that I see in the mount. Now, before we move into this talking about the image and what have you, I want to go back to a story in Genesis 4. We're talking about showing you in the mount. How you going to build? Okay. If you recall, Adam and Eve have missed the mark. They thought they could build something. They thought that the outer self could do something, thinking, and if I figure out, or if I do all of this. And they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil and got kicked out of the garden. That only means you get knocked out of your harmony when you don't do according to what is right or what is true. Anytime you do something other than truth, you get kicked out of the garden. So now Adam and Eve have a son. Then they have another one. They have Cain and they have Abel. Remember now, we're talking about good and evil. So one day Cain comes and makes an offering to the Lord. And Abel does too. But if you go back and read it, you'll realize, wait a minute, Cain made an offering from, he was a tiller of the soil, a farmer. So he just gave God some of the vegetables or whatever he had in his ground. That's what he gave. Abel, on the other hand, gave God the firstlings of his flock. Now, honor the Lord with your substance. Honor the Lord with the first fruit. That's what it says. Now, there's the pattern shown you in the mount. Cain's offering was not acceptable. Now, why wasn't it acceptable? Because it wasn't given from the heart. It wasn't given. In other words, you say, well, why do you say it wasn't from the heart? Because it wasn't the first fruit. It was not according to the pattern. Who did Cain, who did he let down? Okay. Think about it. If God is consciousness, Cain offers his fruit of the ground. Just think about the fact that he is the one who's not accepting it. He is consciousness. When you offer something, you ever giving somebody something and you go, well, I really ain't giving my best. You're the one not accepting it. When you say, I'm going to come over and I'm going to bring you something or what have you, but you go, let's say you're going to bring me some fruit. And you look in, you take all the best fruit out and keep it back for yourself, and the ones that look like it's headed in the wrong direction, it's getting ready to spoil, or it's getting ready, it's not going to keep as long. I got too much. I got so much I want to share. But you're not sharing your best. You are giving what? Whatever's left over. On the other hand, Abel does what? He offers the firstlings of his. He was the keeper of the sheep. He was Emmett Fox. I love this. Emmett Fox says the keeper of the sheep is one who is keeping his thoughts. So he brings about his best, the first fruit, and he gives it to the Lord. Well, the Lord is his consciousness. So he gives it to the Lord, and his is acceptable. But now Cain slays him because his wasn't acceptable. Doesn't evil come back? And, the minute you do something that's wonderful and you feeling real good, doesn't something come along and slap you, bang, just really hit you hard? In other words, you go out and you do something great for somebody, and you come home and all of a sudden something breaks down. You got something hitting at you. Why? Because you're in this world. Cain represents this world. Abel represents now, the present, all good. But evil always appears to slay good. However, you ever notice good is left always to do again, to do again, to do again. Evil is always something that's retaliated. But it is not a power because it's always overcome. Okay. So now that we understand that when we do good, we accept it, and we don't look for any reward, any handout, any hand clap. We just did what we were supposed to do. We offered the first fruit. Remember Jesus, when they needed their taxes paid, And he looked at, he told Peter, go down to the lake and throw in the hook and pull up the first fish. You're always pulling up that which is first, that which is right, that which is good, even if it appears to hurt your outer self, because your outer self is going to try and slay it. But you're going to continue to be who you are, and you're going to offer your first fruit. Now that we understand that, let's start looking at Mark 11 and verse 24. What things soever you desire. Desire is the offering. You ever desired something that was pure, that was perfect? That's you're offering yourself this, because you're conscious. So when you desire to see things the way they are as opposed to the way they appear, when you desire to do something that is really good, when you desire to love your neighbor as yourself, okay, those are big and high and lofty, right? When you desire to have a nice home, when you desire to have the kind of transportation that you like to have, when you desire, you get my drill, you're desiring what we call the good thing, the good life, abundance. You desire to be out of debt. You desire all that kind of stuff. You have to realize that that is the seed. Desire is the seed that you are dropping in the ground. You are offering that to the Lord. That is the seed which has the pattern of the plant. The pattern of the oak tree is in the acorn. The pattern of the abundant life of success and fulfillment is within you. You already have that pattern that's already there, because consciousness, which is the Lord, has already put that pattern in you. Now, in John 12, verse 24, it says, except a seed fall into the ground and die, it abides alone. But see, the seed can't die if you keep messing with it. Except the seed fall into the ground and die, it abides alone. In verse 23, right before he said that to them, Jesus said, now the Son of Man is about to be glorified. You got to realize that Jesus and his Christ consciousness has to fall into the ground and die, that we might bear the fruit of glorification in him. The proof of the pattern was in it. And Jesus said, I'm going to do this, and you guys are going to do it too. Have you ever thought about the fact that the pattern of life is fulfilled in you, and when your time on the earth as you see it has come, you are falling into the ground. Your body is falling into the ground and dying, and you're being raised up. You die twice. You know, you got this death that you, all along the way, you're dying. You're dying to all of the foolishness, all of the greed, all the self, all of the evil. Let's just stop it right there. You're dying to that. And every day is a day of death. But most people are still looking, you know, I got to get out of this. Another guy told me, he said, you know, I need to get in touch with my friends and keep up with them, because I don't know how much longer I have left. I'm like, I know how much longer I have left. I got a lifetime. I'm transitioning, but I'm transitioning upward. See, the proof of the Christ pattern, which was in Christ Jesus, is also in me. And that pattern is, I must decrease and he must increase. When I get in line with that, that's when I know I'm headed in the right direction. So there's always a whole bunch of different kinds of deaths that I'm dying all along the way, so that I can, you know, I've already started my ascension. I've already started my move upward into the God life, because I consciousness, am aware of it, and I'm telling the body man, the Michael Ohr man, make this tabernacle so I can dwell in it. Keep doing good. Keep right on keeping on, because you're going to move upward into what we call eternity. So the pattern of eternity is already in you. Just like I said, the pattern of the oak tree is in the acorn. The pattern in the snowflake is in the water. And when the cold air hits it, it turns into the snowflake. So, I'm going to tell you a story. And I was watching a movie the other night, and this little boy was living somewhere in the north like that. Oh, he was living in Staten Island, New York, but he was poor. His family was poor. His brother was out in the streets. They were selling drugs, just any kind of way to make it. And his mama sent him down to somewhere in North Carolina to get him away from it, to be with his uncle and aunt. When he got there, he was a young boy, I guess about 12, but he had never been out of New York. He had never been out of Staten Island. So now he's in North Carolina. He doesn't know anybody. He gets there, and the uncle introduces him to his aunt, his sister. And he says that she takes care of all of my properties. And because the uncle was doing fine. And so this woman was taking care of him. So he takes the young boy into the store. Takes the young boy into the room. And he said, this is going to be your room. And he showed him everything. And then when they got through talking, he cut the light off. And he said, good night. And the young boy said, good night. Now, remember, we're talking about a young boy who's never been anywhere. He doesn't even know these people. He's brand new. So he cut the light back on so he can get to sleep. And the next thing you know, this woman has a strap, and she's beating the young boy, saying, I will not sleep. I will not keep my lights on all night. Now, it wasn't her money. Wasn't her electricity bill. Didn't have anything to do with her. And she's making him say that, and she's whipping him. And so then the uncle hears about it. He doesn't really do anything to her. He doesn't tell her to stop. But he goes in, and he's talking to the young boy. He said, what is the real problem? You're afraid. You don't know what's here. He goes, well, no, I don't. And what happened? And he says, okay, well, think about it. The light's on, right? Yeah. What do you see in the room? Yeah, that's right. He said, now, if I cut these lights off, does that stuff change? And the young boy said, no. He said, so what's in the room? He said, the same thing that was here when the light was on. He said, now, this is what you have to understand. Your imagination is either your enemy or your best friend. It's just, are you able to control it? Can you control it? If you can control your imagination, it's your best friend. If you can't control your imagination, it's your worst enemy. And the boy said, oh, I get it. I understand. And then the uncle looked at him and said, okay? He said, okay. Then he switched the light off and went, boom. And the kid, he startled him at first, and then he started laughing. He was healed just that quick because he understood that if he imagined the worst, that was going to be his lot. If he imagined the good, the best, it was going to be his best friend. And so that kid grew up and went on to become a great he became a recording artist, very successful, and then he went on to become a film producer, and he is so, and he, you know, I don't know how much he knows God, but the story was about a group which was true. So you have to understand that the moment you desire, you are producing an image that you are offering yourself. So if you desire only the good, the best, you desire all of that, it's offering you an image. And the moment you desire something, you see it. Did y'all get that? If I desire it, I see it. I was talking with Jamal the other day, and I said, you know, you desire to have, and I forget what it was that I said, but I'll just make up something right now. You desire to have a bicycle. Okay? Yeah. So when you desire to have a bicycle, did you have an image of it? He said, yeah. I said, could you see it? Yeah. I said, did you have it? He got that strange look on his face. See, you can't desire it and see the image of it and not have it, because where is it all taking place? In you. So a lot of times people read people like Neville Goddard and they start trying to force an image. Now again, that's the sentence. You're trying to force an image of something that you want, and you're trying to imagine yourself with it, and you don't understand. All I need to do is see it, because where I see it is in me. So the moment I desire, I offer that. And what did we say in Exodus 25 and 40? Build it according to the image shown you in the mount. When you're in consciousness, you are consciousness, and what's happening is the outer you is saying, this is what I desire. Because the inner you can't desire anything. You have all things. All things are yours. You are the Christ conscious. You are conscious. So the moment you say, I'm going to show you something, and the outer you says, oh, wow, yeah, I really would like to have it. You ever had that happen to you? A thought comes across, and you go, oh, wow, I'd like to have that. Well, you see it because it's an image. And because you see it, you don't have to force yourself to try to come up with some type of an image. You already have it. The thought or the desire produces the image. If I said to you, how would you like to have, I don't know, let's pick something real easy. How would you like to have a breakfast, since it's still early in the morning, and you'd like to have 2 eggs, any way you want, some sausage, any kind, either turkey or whatever, but you want 2 eggs, some sausage, yeah, a couple of pancakes, a cup of coffee. Can't you see all that? There's an image of all of that. One person might see scrambled eggs. The next person might see eggs over medium, eggs over easy. But you see the breakfast that you like, and you see it, it's going to come into your life. Because you see it, you offer it to yourself, which is consciousness, and consciousness says, okay, it's done right there. That's what we call, that's prayer. The feeling of its reality. And this feeling of I have mixed with the imagination is the two making peace in the house. Can you see that? Now, if you can see that, then the next thing you say, well, okay. He says, pray. Then it says, what things soever you desire, when you pray, believe. Well, do you believe you want it? Yes. Do you believe you can see it? Yes. Then do you believe you have it? Why? Because you're still focused on something out here. But if you have it within, as within, so without. So if you have it, you have it. To him that has it shall be given. So now, let me give you an example. What you see in imagination. I'm going to give you an example. Desire. I had this desire to be a successful musician, a singer, songwriter, a music producer, a recording artist, a minister, a motivational speaker, a counselor. That's what I wanted to be. I saw all this, every bit of it. I know that these patterns of these are in me. Consciousness. I know it now. But you see, I was 3 years old when the first pattern of music, playing the piano, was recognized. I saw this. I believed it because my imagination was real. But as I got older, it got easier then to start digging up the seed by trying to see if it was happening. In other words, I believed the pattern that was shown me in the mountain. I believed I could play the piano. I don't remember believing, but my mother said, I walked up to her and I said, Mary, put me on the piano. And she put me on. Now, I played. I had seen my cousin playing this song, and I saw his hands touching and where he was going. I memorized it. I saw it. I did it. Then what happened was it got easy to start making things try to happen. In other words, I started trying to make the right contact. I started trying to emulate somebody else. I started trying to, well, maybe if I sound like this, or maybe if I write a song like they wrote, somebody else will like it. Or I'll attract the attention of, you know what I'm saying? We've all done it. Every last one of us. And we're trying to make it happen. Now let me take you back. Before all of this, I've been at college too long. I told y'all, I didn't really want to go to college. I went to college because, what? Girls. I ain't caring about getting a college degree. I went to college because of girls. Then I got there and I met the right one, but now I've been there too long. I got married, I was still in college, which is another story because I had seen myself with this particular girl for the rest of my marriage. For the rest of the time that we would be together. I saw it. It was just the pattern shown me in the mountain. I believed it. So then I said, whoa, I want to graduate. I want to get out of here. I'm already married. I want children. I want a boy and a girl. And it came exactly that way. Jamal was born first. It just started happening. I ignorantly used my imagination. It was ignorant because it's just I saw something, I liked it, and I said, yeah, this is what I want to do. Boom, done. I wanted to work at Ford Motor Company. I tried to apply for jobs because that's what they told me to do. I couldn't get there. Then one day I went to play basketball, and a friend said, hey, you want to work at Ford? That's because I told them that's what I wanted to do. He said, you want to work at Ford? I said, yeah. I said, I've been to the glass house. I applied for a job. So that ain't how you get in Ford. I said, well, how you get in Ford? He said, well, meet us Friday. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, we meet us Friday night. We're going to go over to my boy. My boy is the minority recruiting manager. He works in the glass house. He's at Ford Motor Company. We went over. I met him. He said, all right, I got you. You got your degree, right? Yeah. I got you. Within 2 weeks, I was in Ford Motor Company. And I've been trying for months. But I knew I wanted to work at Ford. And it was there. It just came across like easy as pie. Then I wanted to do music. I quit my job at Ford. Wrong took a job at the county administration building in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Then I started, I know my boy works at, he works over at, he was Gladys Knight in the Pips. He plays bass. I'm going to hook up with him. He can get my songs. We grew up together. Ever since I was in the third grade and he was in the second. Yeah, he can hook me up. He takes my songs to Gladys. I'm still thinking that's going to do it. I still have not yet seen that I have in me the pattern of being what I desire. I'm now still ignorant of it, but now I'm over here making the offering of he can get me in. Ms. Knight decides I'm not going to record his songs because I don't know how you're going to get paid. He was like, what does that have to do with anything? He said, this guy got great. He said, yeah, he's got a good voice. His song is great, but I'm not going to do it. And would not do it. See, I was not understanding. And so now my imagination is out of control. What's going on? I'm seeing myself fail. I'm seeing people not recording my music. I'm seeing things happen. It's just worse and worse and worse. And the worse it got, the worse it got. And I could always come back and tell somebody a story about what, y'all? How I am failing. How nobody is accepting myself. How I'm getting cheated. How I'm being lied to. Now all of a sudden, my imagination went from being my friend to my enemy because I could not control it. Now, I never got it done. Never got the music done. No matter how, I just got little scrimpings, little what have you. Some people overseas, we like it, yeah, but you get a little, little check here and there. But you don't get anything really, really good. You never get this big, you hear I think probably the straw that breaks the camel's back is a woman had just had a huge hit. She had just gone like number one with her stuff. I mean, she's huge. Comes here to stay in my house after a friend of mine showed her my song. She comes here and we put it on paper. This song goes number one. This song gets nominated for a Grammy. And it's Gladys Knight all over again. The only difference is this lady recorded it, but it still fell apart. Why? Because my imagination has not been changed. I'm not moving according to the pattern that has shown that I've been seeing in the mountain. The pattern that offer myself the good. In other words, it's God that works in you to will and to do his good pleasure. Well, the consciousness is what I am, and God is in there. But I'm still dependent on somebody on the outside of me to do something. Now, the other day, this is what gets me excited. It might not get you excited, but it gets me excited. It's small. I said to myself, oh, man, I'm running out of ink pens. And I need pens and what have you. Oh, okay. I'm going to get myself some ink pens. That's all I did. I desired to get me some ink pens. And then I forgot about it. I just forgot it and moved on. Jamal and I were up at Lisa's the other day, and I was, these kids nowadays, they don't learn cursive writing the way we did. They can just tap on a laptop, tap on a standalone computer, or they print. And so I was with my grandson. He's 18. And I said, wow, man. I said, you can't. Lisa said, no, he can't write cursive. I said, okay, well, I tell you what. let me show you. I said, my brother and my wife and I started a Christian school in Maryland, and we taught people how not only to write in cursive, we taught people. There was one boy in like the 10th grade, and he couldn't read because he didn't understand subject, verb. He did not understand his ABCs. Let's just put it that way. He did not understand. We started from scratch with somebody 14, 15 years old. At the end of the year, he was reading. So I go, ink pen. Lisa walked around the corner and said, Dad, I don't like black ink pens. I like the blue ones and what have you, but I don't like black ink pens. She said, you want these? It was a box with about 8 ink pens in it. Done. Why? Because I knew I had ink pens. I said, well, I'm just going to go get some, man. I didn't think about it anymore. He came out and handed me the ink pen. See, what you see, that's faith. What you see in imagination, you expect. If you see it, then you have already believed, because why do you believe? Because I started work before. Why do you believe? It worked last week. It worked a month ago. It worked in college. My memory goes back to when I wanted to get out, when I wanted to have kids, when I wanted a great job at Ford. My memory goes back and says, I believed I saw myself there, so it was done. I didn't see myself out in Ford because I didn't even know what the place looked like. But I did see I'm at Ford. I just saw the statement. But I didn't know I was ignorantly using my imagination. I didn't know that was the ignorance that I was doing. So now, I expect, and it is seen. Remember now, in Aramaic, faith is the assurance of that which I expect. As it, and here's the key, was the substance of things that are already in existence. Everything that's in existence right now that you can see that's out here came as a result of faith. Have faith in God. Now, and it is the evidence of that which you don't see. It's the evidence. In other words, the evidence of what you don't see is the same as the assurance that you do see. Where do you see it? Within. It doesn't get any easier. How do you see it within? In your imagination. What is that? That's the only way I can see according to the pattern that's shown me in the mouth. That's just how it is. Now, I've got something here that I want to read you guys. It is from a book called Every Good Desire. It's written by a guy named Ernest Wilson. And it's something called After Its Kind. In the natural order, everything works from within out. Results begin in the hidden realm of preparation. You plant a seed in the ground. You till the soil. You water it. It may seem as if nothing has happened. When you were a child, you may have been one who couldn't wait, couldn't believe that anything was happening because you couldn't see that it was happening. You stuck your fingers down into the moist earth and uncovered the tiny seed, perhaps already beginning to send a root downward or shoot upward, but the shoot was not yet able to push through to the light. Ever done that? I did. You do it. You might say, no, I ain't never done that. Yes, you have. Because you said, this is what I want. That's desire. And then what happens is you start going looking to see if anything's happening. You start going, okay, I'm going to act like I got it. But yet you out here messing around trying to find out, is it working? I don't see no change. But from the moment you let your prayer go, remember, there's I was dispatched to you, but it took me 21 days to fight through with the Prince of Persia. You see, that's the key. That's the key. I desired. This was Daniel. He desired. He prayed. But then the angel, Michael, came, but it took 21 days to get to him. Everything begins as an idea, a mental concept, a pattern. The pattern of the snowflake is inherent in the water vapor. The pattern of the oak tree is in the acorn. The plant pre-exists in the seed. First the blade, then the ear, then the full grain in the ear. 30-fold, 60-fold, 100-fold. The pattern of your own life fulfillment is in you as the pattern of the oak tree is in the acorn. The pattern of the snowflake is in the water vapor. You always carry with you the thing you tend to see outwardly. You carry it in you. It's already there. The pattern has always been there. There is an innate desire in all of us to follow that inward pattern even without realizing that there is a pattern. Remember me, 3 years old, 6 years old? The pattern was there. I didn't know there was a pattern there. I was just doing what came naturally. But I played the piano because I had played it within, but I was ignorant of the fact that that pattern is there. I was ignorant of the fact that my imagination was on fire. He says, a child shall lead them? Yeah, because children have vivid imagination. Desire is the blueprint of that pattern. Thought is your reading of the blueprint. Feeling activates the thought. Desire is prophetic of its own fulfillment. Universal mind is power. You are the director of that power. It will take whatever form you give it by the nature of your thoughts, feelings, words, and actions. Everything brings forth after its kind. You sitting around imagining not being able to pay your bills? Bam! Sitting around imagining being deeper and deeper in debt? Bam! Remember Tennessee Ernie Ford? St. Peter don't call me because I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. 16 tons. Another day's work, another rough. Why? Why is it so rough? Because that's what I see. That's what I imagine. That's what I feel. And the two are making peace in the house. The wrong time, they're wreaking havoc. Yet my imagination is fired, and I'm giving it strength. Emerson startled many of the readers by asserting that the dice of God are always loaded. By this, we take him to mean that the natural order of things is for each of us to become from the beginning we were intended to be. It is hard to go against the natural order made so to steer us back into line. The impossible is not demanded of us. We are equipped with the inner resources to become, in fact, what we are in truth. To use inward powers of creative, constructive thought and feel to fulfill every good desire. This man, Ernest Wilson, this was long before Greg Braden. This was way back. Let's see. When did he write this? 1973. 1973. I graduated in December of 71. He wrote this in 73. I've had this book for a long time. However, it never dawned on me that the pattern was there. It took all these years. I read Neville. I read all kinds of things. I read this. You know, the other day it came to me that the reason why people like Goldsmith and them said that they said an affirmation and denial, those are not needed. What they meant was you can't create anything with an affirmation. That doesn't do anything. An affirmation is a statement of I am in agreement. That's what to affirm means. I am in agreement with the pattern that is shown me in the map. I've seen it. I've seen things change. I saw things get rough for me. I saw things, struggling. I saw it. But now I see it turned around because I've seen the pattern. There was something that I was meant to do. There is something I told my son the other day. I said, it's like your life is torn up so that you can begin to move in the direction of the pattern that you have. That's the whole key. We just seem to want to try to make this thing work, and we don't have to do that. The thing has worked. The pattern is there. What did we do to cause the oak tree to come out of the acorn? All we did was we were aware that the oak tree comes out of the acorn. The apple tree comes out of the seed. That's all we did. We are aware of it. We had nothing to do with the sun coming up. Now, when I mean we had nothing to do, I'm talking about our outer self. Whether we thought it was coming up or whether we thought it wasn't coming up, that didn't have anything to do with it. But consciousness knows that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. Nothing's going to stop it. Nothing. We have to agree to accept consent. We have to be able to know no good desire is it's not too good to be true. I desire this. Is it good? Yeah, it's good. I don't desire to rob a bank. I desire to be blessed, to have abundance. Well, you have it. You have the consciousness of it. And if you have the consciousness of a thing, you have the thing. And it shows itself when you least expect it. What does that mean? When you're not consciously thinking about it. Just like the ink pen showed up. In other words, you have to know that if I believe, I pray, I believe. That means I receive. The moment I believe, I receive. Receiving and believing are the same thing. That is the key. That is the way. I am the way. I am the truth. I am the life. Make sure you build according. Let me go back up. Make sure you build a tabernacle. Your body, your life. Make sure you build that according to the image, the picture that's shown thee in the mountain. Because when you believe, you will see. That means you have received. Amen. So it is.